Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Hey, before we get started, I want to say a special thank you to everyone who shares this show on a weekly basis on Facebook and on your social media. It means so much to me because that's why this show is here every week, is to reach people with these songs. And I just want to let you in on a little secret that if you haven't shared the show, here, come here. I want to tell you something. When you share the show, you get luxurious shine and split end protection for your hair. That's right. And if you're bald, it'll actually grow hair. But shh, keep it down, okay? Don't tell everybody. You know, just share the show with people. Because when you share the show with your friends, then they'll share the show with their friends, and they'll share the show with their friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. So now that we're all here, let's start the show. And welcome to yet another episode of your favorite weekly show that's about songs I've written. This is my story, this is my song. It's so good to have you with us again for another episode. This week's episode, and of course every episode, brought to you by cassette tapes. Remember them? Hey everybody. Speaking of cassette tapes, people ask me, wow, Enosh, you've been singing a long time, and some people only know me from my kind of late teens on, but I want to share something kind of cool with you today, and that is, I've been singing since I was very, very young, and I traveled with my family at a young age, and used to sing in churches and events and do concerts and stuff like that. And I found a box of my very first album when I was 12 years old. I traveled out to Riverside, California, and recorded this little baby, and I'll show it to you. Look at that. That's right. Mr. Enosh Fee right there in a white suit, holding a Bible. My approach is a little different nowadays, but you get the gist. And if you still have a cassette player and you'd like to get your hands on the last of these, let me know, okay? And you can do that by writing me. And speaking of writing me, I do believe it's time for our Viewer of the Week. Ah, yes, the Viewer of the Week. Every week I tell you to write me and let me know what you think of the show. Give me your ideas. Tell me what you think of the songs that I've written. And some of you do that. And when you do that, you have a chance to be Viewer of the Week. This week's viewer is a good friend of mine that I've just recently come to know in the last couple months. His name is Keith, and he wrote me right after I started doing the show, and I want to share with you some of his thoughts, okay? He says, "Good job, brother. I haven't watched all the shows completely, but I am so excited to make the show a part of my Mondays in the office." Keith is actually a pastor, just so you know, so he's making it this part of his Mondays as he goes in on Monday. He says, "Selfishly, I am also excited to learn more about you, the bands you have been a part of, as well as I endeavor to better my craft by being connected with others like yourself. I also know this takes time to do, and it does. Thank you for investing yourself in each of us in this way. God bless you, kind sir." And God bless you, Keith, for sending that to me. And for that, you can expect a little something coming back to you, because when you're the Viewer of the Week, you get us free prize. Yay! That's right, a free prize is coming to you, so be looking for that in your message inbox. And if you would like to be our Viewer of the Week, you can write to me at enoshmusic@hotmail.com. You can do just regular old email. Or you can message me on Facebook at our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/This Is My Story, This Is My Song page. Make sure you got page in there, or go someplace else to some other thing. Anyways, or you can, of course, subscribe to the show on YouTube, and you can message down in the comments section, because I'm not one of those people who turn off the comments section. No matter how good or bad it is, I'd like to know your thoughts. So write to me this week, okay, and let me know what you think. With that, let's jump right into the song. Okay, so this week's song is a song called Billy. And I know some of you who are familiar with this song, you're probably going, oh yeah, cool, he's doing Billy. This song was a rather interesting song. I wrote this song when I was probably about 17 years old. I wrote it right after we started the band Antioch, and there's so many good memories from that band. I tell you, my friends Andy and Jeremy and Brian and Rusty, and there were others. Ann Jeanette was in there. Brian was the other Brian was in there. I think at one point we've had 3 Brians in the band or something like that. Anyways. It was just a really good time. There were good times and there were bad times, but you're always going to have that in a band. And you know what? I became a better person for being in that band. Even the people that I didn't always get along with, you know what? I grew, and I learned a lot being in the band Antioch. And so for those of you who've been around since then, since those days, you know, a lot has changed, and I hope it's for the better. So, but this was a song that I wrote one night. I actually wrote it, you know, before we started Antioch, and it was something that I showed to the band later on. But I remember the night that I wrote it because I was up all night long. I didn't go to sleep that night, and I came up with this riff in E. There was just a real simple thing. It was just just really simple. In fact, this whole song only has 3 chords in it. It's the quintessential 3-chord song. But I started writing this, and the lyrics come from, a lot of people have always asked me, is this a story of somebody real? Did this really happen in your life? Is there really a Billy in your life? And I'll be honest with you, it was not written about anybody specifically. There have been people in my life that I know who've gone through similar things to this after the fact, but it was never really written with one person in mind. It's a story of a boy who, like many, is raised in the church, raised in a Christian home, and kind of force-fed religion. And maybe you can relate with that. Maybe you know people who are like that. You know, I was a pastor's kid growing up, and people always say, you know, the pastor's kids, they either, you know, it like either really takes with them or they just go full out rebellion, you know, and so maybe subconsciously that's where this song came from. But it's a story of a kid named Billy. He's raised in his Christian home. He always kind of does the right thing and you know, is raised in that. And then he hits his teen years. He hits this time called his teen years where things aren't so black and white anymore. And that happens for a lot of people. Where they hit their teen years, they start to question things. They start to get their own opinions about stuff. And, you know, the status quo answers just don't do it anymore. And so Billy starts to question those things. But unfortunately, he takes it to an extreme. And he decides to then go ahead and rebel, and he runs away from home, and nobody ever sees or hears from him again. And at the end of the song, it's just talking about, you know, Billy, no one may know where you're at and know what's going on with you. You may be lost to them, but you're not lost to God, because God knows where you're at, and God sees you and he hears you, and he's calling Billy, you know. So in the first verse, kind of sets it up where Billy is you know, kind of the good kid and stuff, you know, but then his friends just kind of look at him, and as he runs away from that, his friends are saying, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. Billy, won't you come back to the fold, because you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. And then the second verse, you know, sets up his family and things like that, and his family then is saying that same chorus, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. But then that last chorus flips it a little bit, and it's God saying, Billy, I know where you are. It doesn't matter how far you've gone. Billy, won't you come back to the fold? It's a personal song for me, because even though it wasn't about somebody, every time I would sing the song, it was like I could see Billy. It was like I could see him, and it was like he was a real physical person. And it's funny about this song, too, because I didn't write this song thinking it was going to be like this, you know, like one of our best songs or anything. Like I said, it's a 3-chord song. But it was funny because when we were in Antioch, this song really stuck out to people. people really enjoyed this song, and they would come up to us afterwards and say, I really like that song about Billy, and they would ask me questions about it, and I think that's pretty cool when you can write a song that people can relate to, and it has some meaning, and they get the lyrics, especially in a live setting, because, you know, we would just play it live, and people would catch on that story, and they would catch on that framework of what the song was, and it would interest them, and they would say, I really like that song. It's very powerful. And it's funny because the song was kind of our power ballad. We started Antioch in the end of 1994. And it was a cool thing how Antioch started. My friend Rusty and I had been looking for a bass player and a drummer for about 2 years. And we just happened to go to a concert in Holland, Michigan, on the other side of the state from us. And we drove all the way there to see one of my favorite bands, Guardian. And shout out to them. They're great. They just released a new album this year. So if you're online, go find Guardian. You'll like it. It's good stuff. And so we saw Guardian and a guy named Steve Taylor, who a lot of you know, just a classic Christian artist, very satirical in nature, and you'll like him too. Look up Steve Taylor. If you like the Newsboys, he wrote all the Newsboys weird stuff. Okay, all those crazy lyrics that you're like, why is he busy shoveling elephant dung and stuff? Yeah, that was Steve Taylor. Good stuff. He wrote Shine too. So Steve Taylor, and there's a band called Hocus Pick, and from Canada, and so we went to go see them, and we got there really, really early. And we were sitting on the steps of the place where all these bands were playing, and we were just waiting. And this guy named Jeremy comes up, and he sits down next to us, and we start talking and everything, and just, you know, shooting the breeze. And we were playing cards, and Jeremy, for some reason, he didn't want to play cards with us, but he wanted to talk to us. And so we just kind of started talking about how we were looking for a band. Well, Jeremy was a guitar player, and he had a friend named Andy who was a drummer. And we just started talking and realized we liked the same type of music. We were both big Petra fans, and we just all hit it off. Me, Rusty, and Jeremy just hit it off right away. And so we started talking, and then come to find out he lived 15 minutes away from me. Here I'm thinking, you know, I'm on the other side of the state, right? So he's got to be from over there. No, he had made that same drive, and he lived only 15 minutes away from me. And Andy lived like 10 minutes away from me. And so we exchanged numbers, and we started talking, and so about a week later or so, I gave Jeremy a call, and we all got together out in Goodrich, and Antioch started. We started playing music, jamming, and that's how the band started. And I was just thinking today, because I was out that way. I was out in Goodrich, and I passed by Jeremy and Brian's old house. Jeremy and Brian Aiello were brothers. They are brothers. And I passed by their old house, just happened to pass by it, and I was thinking about that, and that was the birthplace of that band. And just good memories, you know. And Rusty was in there with me, and Rusty ended up playing bass, and me and Jeremy played guitar. I played rhythm guitar, and Jeremy played lead. And it was just, you know, it was good times, you know. And like I said, we learned a lot, and I think we're all better people for having been in that band. But this was just a song that stuck with people. We recorded a version of it. We were very green in the studio with my friend Kevin Reynolds. And you'll hear that on the recording after this. But it was just a good time, and it's a good song. And keep an ear out for I can't remember what it's called right now, but this instrument that kind of goes, and we used that in the song, and that was kind of a staple mark in the song, and everybody was always disappointed when Andy forgot to bring it. But just want to say a shout out to my former bandmates, Andy Montague, Jeremy Aiello, Brian Aiello, Ann Jeanette, Brian Allen, and anybody else. You know, my good friend Matt Gauthier was in that band with me later on. So thanks, guys, for being a part of my life. And so we're going to jump right into the song. It's called Billy, and I hope that you enjoy it. Here we go. Now Billy was a good boy, he always did what his parents said. And every night before he went to sleep, he bowed by his bed. His friends really loved him, both at church and at school. 'Cause when things got rough for other kids, Billy always kept his cool. But now his friends are saying, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. Oh, oh, Billy, won't you come back to the fold? 'Cause you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. When Billy hit his teens, well, things got rough. And living at home with a family sometimes was just too tough. And after fighting with mom and dad, he said, I've had enough. So he packed his bags, moved out, stormed out in a huff. But now his family's crying, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. Oh, oh, Billy, won't you come back to the fold? 'Cause you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. No one's seen or heard from him since that dreadful day. The people in my hometown still talk about Billy. So Billy, if you're listening, I just want to say this one thing, that no matter where you go, what you do, the Lord is there with you. And he's crying, Billy, I know where you are. Doesn't matter how far you've gone. Billy, won't you come back to the fold? 'Cause you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. Oh, 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 Billy, I know where you are. Doesn't matter how far you've gone. Billy, won't you come back to the fold? 'Cause you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. Oh, oh, oh. And that's Billy. You know, I just want to say something to you. If you're out there and you're listening to this show, and maybe the story of this song kind of rings true for you. Maybe you were brought up in the right way, or you at one point were in the faith and you walked away from that. I just want to let you know something. That is, God loves you so much, and you're never too far away from him that you're out of his hand, that he won't bring you back. You know, the Bible says that it compares us to sheep with a shepherd. And it says, you know, the shepherd will leave the 99 that are just fine to go find that one lost sheep that's made its way out of the fold. And I want you to know God loves you very much, and he's looking for you, Billy. He wants you to come back. He wants you to come home. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode this week. Please write to me. Let me know what you think of the song that I do this week. And then also let me know what you think of the show, okay? And any suggestions that you have for the show, I would love to hear those as well. You can be a viewer of the week. Yeah. Or you can just write me a personal note, and I'd be happy just to read that, okay? So don't forget, after this, you can listen to the recorded version of Billy, and if you're interested, you can download that at cdbaby.com/Enosh Fee. Now, when you go there, you'll have to do a little search for my other songs, okay? But go do that, and there's some other songs up there. All the songs that are on the show are there weekly. So thanks for tuning in once again, and I look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of This Is My Story, This Is My Song. Bye-bye.
Billy was a good boy, he always did what his parents said. And every night before he went to sleep, he bowed by his bed. His friends really loved him, both at church and at school. 'Cause when things got rough for other kids, Billy always kept his cool. But now his friends are saying, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. Whoa. You're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. When Billy hit his teens, well, things got rough, and living at home with a family sometimes was just too tough. And after fighting with mom and dad, he said, I've had enough. So he packed his bags, moved out, stormed out in a huff. And now his family's crying, Billy, where have you gone? You've been missing for so long. Whoa, Billy, won't you come back to the fold? 'Cause you're never too young or old to come back to the Lord. From him since that dreadful day, but people in my hometown still talk about Billy. So Billy, if you're listening, I just want to say this one thing, that no matter where you go or what you do, the Lord is there with you, and he's crying, Billy, I know where you are, doesn't matter how to the Lord. Oh, oh, oh. Come back to